The kunai tears through Ryusei's throat before he can scream. Blood fills his lungs. His vision dims as the enemy shinobi steps over him.
I'm alive? That's impossible.
His hands fly to his neck. No wound, no blood, just the pale morning light through the window mocking him. Ryusei doesn't pause to question it. He throws on his gear and sprints toward the front line. If the gods gave him another chance, he'll take it. But the battlefield devours him just the same. A different strike, the same choking end. Dawn again, the same sheets, the same ceiling. His body remembers the pain his mind can't process. Then the air in front of him glitches. A crimson message carves itself into the world. System alert. Deaths 199.
A counter. Counting every time I died. This isn't a nightmare. It's a sentence.
Ryusei forces himself upright. Dawn is slipping away. This time he'll die fighting for answers, not just survival. Ryusei stops charging headlong. He spends the afternoon burying spare kunai and paper bombs under the moss.
If I can't survive, at least I can leave a trap for the next me.
The loop resets. This time a shuriken buries itself between his ribs. He gasps awake, clutching the phantom wound. System alert. Deaths 599.
5 times. Each death teaches me one more enemy position, but my body is starting to feel heavy.
By the 10th loop, he stops sleeping. He trains under moonlight, driving fists into bark until his knuckles bleed, hoping strength carries over.
12th death. I saw the signal flare too late. Next time, I'll be watching the ridge.
He keeps count silently. 13, 15, 17. His face becomes a mask, but something inside is fraying. 17th death. He kills the advanced scout first. For a full minute, he believes he's broken the day. Then an arrow ends it.
I can't save any of them. Not yet. Not like this. 17 times, and I'm still just dying.
The 20th loop, Ryusei doesn't even try to block the fatal blow. He wants to see if dying faster changes anything. It doesn't. On loop 25, he watches a comrade get cut down. He could have warned him. He doesn't. He just marks the enemy's position in his head.
I used to know his name. Now he's just a variable that dies here every day.
System alert. Deaths 3099. Loop 34. A kunai plunges into his throat. This time Ryusei laughs, a wet, gurgling laugh that sprays blood over his killers.
It doesn't hurt anymore. Nothing does. This is almost funny.
Between loops now, he doesn't eat. He doesn't sleep. He just lies on the bed and waits for the battle to start. By the 40th count, he executes movements like a puppeteer. Dodge. Strike. Die. No anger. No hope. System alert. Deaths 5099.
Halfway there. Maybe when the counter runs out, I'll finally stop waking up.
Loop 63. Ryusei doesn't bother opening his eyes when the dawn comes. He just listens and hears something beneath the silence. In the void between death and waking, the darkness shifts. He sees outlines now, a snout, a curved fang. Not real yet, but almost.
Something is watching me die, collecting the count. Who or what are you?
Loop 70. He stops pretending to fight. He walks onto the battlefield and spreads his arms. Let them end it quickly. The void grows colder each time. The fox mask is clearer now, its empty sockets fixed on him. He feels words forming, though no sound comes. On the 89th death, the mask's jaw creaks open. A single word imprints on his soul. Soon.
Soon. Then there is a purpose. 99 isn't punishment. It's a threshold. I have to reach it.
Loop 90. He throws himself into every blade. He doesn't defend, doesn't dodge. Each death brings him closer to the voice that promised him an answer. System alert. Deaths 9099.
9 left. I won't make you wait long, Mask. Show me what happens when a shinobi dies 100 times.
Ryusei scratches a single word into the wooden frame of his bed with a broken kunai. Remember, he needs to know if it persists across resets.
If the loop was random, nothing would carry over. But the voice is proof something does. Maybe my own words can carry too.
After dying to a surprise ambush, he wakes gasping. The carving is still there, the first real proof that the loop is not a blank slate.
Then I can leave a message for myself. A question the next me will read and answer over and over until the mask notices.
He scribbles lines on scrap paper. What are you? Why this count? What happens at 99? He hides it under his pillow. Loop 95. In the void, the mask's voice is no longer a whisper. It rumbles through his bones. Ask when you are ready.
It's testing me. Every death sharpens the question. On the 98th, I'll ask my piece.
Loop 98. He charges straight into a spear wall. He doesn't flinch. The moment of death is not pain. It's a door.
What do you want from me?
The mask's eyes ignite. For the first time, it speaks in full. Tomorrow you die your last, then choose, and the void shatters into dawn. On the 99th morning, Ryusei doesn't carve any message. He simply walks to the front line, ready to complete the count. He finds the enemy commander and lets the blade fall. His heart stops. But this time, the waking never comes. Instead of his bedroom, he remains in the void. The fox mask is whole now, attached to a massive nine-tailed spectral body.
You have endured 99 deaths, Shinobi. No mortal has ever reached this threshold with their sanity intact. I am the forgotten deity of this village. I offer you the Reaper class, a power so dangerous it was erased from existence. Every life you reap will restore your own. No death you have experienced can claim you again. This is the pact.
A deal with a death god. If I take this, there's no going back to who I was. I don't remember who I was. Make me the Reaper. I will harvest this war until nothing but peace remains.
System alert. Reaper class unlocked. Deaths 9999. Chakra ignites in his palm, forging a black scythe. The fox skull mask settles behind his head. He opens his eyes on the 100th dawn. Ryusei's scythe cleaves through the enemy like wind through smoke. Each kill feeds him chakra surges, fatigue vanishes. He is no longer prey.
But they're dodging my traps. Routes I memorized over 30 loops. Now the enemy avoids them like they were forewarned.
The enemy moves with surgical precision. Archers preempt his flanks. A counter unit blocks every gap he memorized. This is not chaos.
No amount of preparation explains this. Someone inside the village is directing them. Someone who knows every contingency.
After the battle, Ryusei cloaks himself in shadow and slips into the Kazukage's tower, a place he never searched. A hidden floorboard reveals a scroll with the enemy clan's seal. The cipher is crude. Ryusei deciphers village defense plans written in familiar handwriting.
This is Takeshi's writing, the Kazakage. My oldest friend sold the village to the invaders. Every death I suffered, he arranged it.
He remembers the signal flares, the compromised patrols. Each loop, the invasion began exactly when the village was weakest, not luck design.
The loops weren't random suffering. They were training me to see the one thing I was blind to. Now I see.
Ryusei folds the letter into his cloak. His scythe hums with anticipation. The true enemy is not at the gates, he sits on the throne. That night, Ryusei returns to the Kazukage's tower, not to gather evidence, but to witness the betrayal with his own eyes. He melds into the shadow of the Great Hall as Takeshi enters, accompanied by a hooded figure bearing the enemy clan's serpent crest.
The Reaper has emerged sooner than we planned, but he remains ignorant of the true arrangement. Proceed with the final assault at dawn.
He calls me Reaper like he already knew. This was never about war. It's about me.
The spy bows and vanishes in smoke. Takeshi stares out the window, murmuring something to himself that Ryusei barely catches.
For the village to survive, someone had to become the monster. I'm sorry, Ryusei.
He thinks he's saving the village by sacrificing me? By sacrificing everyone.
Ryusei's grip on the scythe trembles. In his mind, he sees not the Kazakage but the boy he grew up with, training together under the desert stars.
Takeshi, why did you choose this path? Was there no other way?
When the memory fades, only cold resolve remains. Ryusei knows what he must do, even if it shatters what remains of his heart. Ryusei steps out of the shadows, the fox skull mask still floating behind him, scythe dormant at his side.
So you finally found the courage to face me. I wondered how long you would haunt that loop without seeing the truth.
The truth? You sold every life in this village to an enemy clan. What possible justification could twist that into truth?
The village is a grain of sand in a desert of war. I offered it to the storm so that I might become the one who shapes the winds. I will unite the clans under one rule, my rule. The Kazakage title was a cage. I shattered it by making the invasion a forge. Your loops? A miscalculation? I never intended for you to repeat that day. The deity's interference was unexpected.
He thinks my suffering was a glitch. The 99 deaths, just an inconvenience to his grand design.
The scythe in Ryusei's hand begins to glow, responding to the surge of chakra roiling inside him. The mask's eyes flicker.
Then my purpose is clear. Takeshi, I didn't survive 99 deaths to watch you become a tyrant.
Takeshi's smirk vanishes. For the first time, he sees not a broken Chunin, but the Reaper who has already died to every trap he set. Before Ryusei can close the distance, the fox skull mask behind him erupts with a blinding violet light, freezing the room in spectral stillness.
Hold, Reaper. Before you swing your blade, you must understand why you were chosen. The 99 deaths were no accident. I wove that loop to forge a weapon strong enough to kill a corrupt Kage. Your loyalty blinded you to his rot. But the betrayal cracked your soul open so I could fill it with purpose.
So the agony, the madness, the hollow laughter, all of it was the deity's forge. And I am the blade.
You are my champion, Reaper. Now go and harvest the tyrant who sold his people for ambition.
Ryusei's grip firms on the scythe. The shadows around him deepen, and the mask's eyes burn with an unearthly fire.
I am no longer just Ryusei. I am the Reaper, sent by the gods to cut out the cancer that has festered in this village. Takeshi, the gods themselves sent me to end you, die knowing your ambition was the trap that caught you.
And with that, the Reaper lunges, the office explodes with clashing chakra, and the true final battle begins. The first elite guard steps in front of Takeshi, and his torso separates from his legs before he can scream.
The guard's chakra floods into me. The pact is real. I can feel my lifespan extending.
Takeshi barks orders. More armed shinobi pour from side doors, forming a defensive wall. Ryusei's scythe whirls like a black crescent, slicing through armor and flesh. Each fallen foe feeds him, years return to his ashen skin. System message, soul harvest, +1 lift span, +150 chakra. Immunity up-deeded. Takeshi's face twists in horror. His elite guard, veterans of 100 wars, are being harvested like wheat.
Every pawn you send is just more fuel for the Reaper. You built this harvest yourself, Takeshi.
The last guard drops, his soul a wisp of light drawn into the fox mask. Ryusei's chakra surges to a blinding peak. He stands among the corpses, scythe dripping black ichor. His skin is smooth, his eyes burning coals. The Reaper is complete.
No more shields. Just you and me, old friend.
You think your Reaper class makes you invincible? I too have a pact with a forgotten god.
Teki's hands flash through forbidden seals. A serpent of black sand erupts from the floor, its fangs dripping with a venom that melts stone. Ryusei doesn't dodge. The venom splashes against his skin and rolls off like water. He has already died from snake venom in loop 42.
Impossible. That toxin was crafted by the Sand Spectre himself. Not even a keg could survive it.
I died to a serpent's bite 99 loops ago. Every death you arranged made me immune to your tricks.
The black serpent crumbles into dust. Takeshi stumbles back, his last gambit failing. For the first time, fear cracks his composure.
He finally understands. The loops weren't just my curse, they were his undoing. For the village you betrayed, for every friend I couldn't save, for the 99 deaths, this is the harvest, Takeshi.
The scythe cuts through chakra, bone, and dark pact alike. Takeshi's body crumples, and the fox mask devours the escaping soul. System message: corrupt keg harvested. Reaper class fully awakened. The invasion breaks. The invading army falters. Their command seals crumble, and the serpent clan scatters like desert ash. The village is safe. Ryusei walks through the shattered main gate. The bodies are familiar. He has seen them fall 100 times.
You have done what no mortal could, Reaper, but your duty is not complete. I am bound to this land no longer. You are now its protector. The Reaper shall stand where a Kage once fell.
So this is the price. Not death, but to become the village's eternal sentinel, a godless shrine for their peace.
The fox skull mask settles beside him. No longer behind, but at his shoulder, a companion, a brand.
I will be their nightmare so they can have sweet dreams. That was always the pact.
Villagers emerge from shelters, staring at the one who ended the invasion. No one cheers, they see only the Reaper.
Take your dead and rebuild. I will watch the desert.
And so the Reaper walks into the scorched wastes beyond the wall, never to return to the home he once died defending. Weeks pass. The village walls are patched with mud and memory. New guards patrol the same old routes, and children play in the rubble. At dusk, a hunter swears he saw a figure on the ridge, a cloak, a scythe, and a floating skull. But by morning, there is only sand. An old woman tells the children a story. The Reaper was once a boy who loved this village so much he died for it 100 times. A child places a woven flower on a small shrine built from broken headbands. She asks her mother, "Will the Reaper ever smile?" Her mother cannot answer. She only strokes her daughter's hair and looks toward the desert, where the fox skull mask hangs on a lone, dead tree. Ryusei sits alone atop a canyon cliff, scythe across his knees. The mask floats idly, its eyes dim.
I can still hear their laughter in the wind, their prayers for safety. I am no longer the boy who died for them. But so long as the Reaper stands watch, they will have a future. That is enough. That is the pact.
The wind scatters sand across his footprints. He has become a ghost, a myth, a silent guardian, the SSS Reaper who broke the loop. System final entry. Reaper class active. Guardian protocol engaged. No further deaths reported. Ryusei stares at the village lights in the distance, small as candle flames. A part of him aches to walk back.
I could be a ghost among them. They wouldn't know, but the mask would never let me forget.
The fox skull mask drifts in front of his vision, its empty sockets glowing low, as if waiting for his choice.
I know. If I go back, I'll only bring the Reaper into their homes. They need a protector, not a monster.
The mask bobs once, a silent agreement. It settles again at his shoulder, and the desert wind swallows the sound.
This is my vigil. No more deaths to count. No more loops to break. Just endless watching.
He takes one last look at the lights, then turns his back on them. The Reaper walks deeper into the wastes. System message. Vigil protocol accepted. Reaper will respawn on death. Eternal duty engaged. And so the legend is sealed. A shadow on the sand. A scythe that never rusts. And a mask that watches over the village forever. The SSS Reaper does not sleep. He does not smile. He simply is, and that is enough. The desert nights are cold. Ryusei digs a small burrow beneath a dead acacia, the mask hovering like a patient specter.
A shinobi once taught me that a warrior's duty ends at death. But my death just brought bigger duties.
He lies back, staring at the stars. For a moment, he lets himself remember a night like this, years ago, before the loops, before the blood.
Takeshi was there. He pointed at the constellations and named them after his ambitions. I should have seen the rot even then.
The memory dissolves into the present. The mask drifts closer, as if to remind him, such thoughts are ghosts now.
I know I can't go back, but sometimes I want to scream into that empty sky just to feel like a person again.
The mask glows faintly, and a single chakra pulse, almost like a heartbeat, enters him. Not comfort, just acknowledgement.
All right, no more screaming. But I will keep their names on my lips. Every life I harvested, I remember them all.
He picks up his scythe, and the vigil resumes. The desert wind carries the names to no one, but that is enough for the Reaper. And so another day begins for the Guardian who cannot rest. The sun beats down on the trade route. A caravan of 3 wagons rumbles through the pass, unaware they are being stalked by a giant scorpion. The scorpion strikes, smashing the lead wagon. Screams erupt as the guard's spears barely scratch its chitin. The merchants flee into the rocks. A shadow falls over the scorpion, not from a cloud, but from a figure standing on the dune crest. A scythe gleams.
A merchant guild banner. They're from the village. I know that crest. They need a reaper.
He descends like a bolt of dark chakra. The scythe arcs once the scorpion's tail is severed. Twice its carapace cracks. By the time the merchants dare to look, the monster lies still, and the savior is gone, only a fading purple mist and the faint shape of a skull. That night, the survivors make camp. They place a bowl of rice before a small, hastily carved fox figure. For the Reaper, an old man whispers, he still watches the trade routes. He has not forgotten us.
I haven't. I never will. But I can't let them see me. The mask won't allow it.
He turns away, the bowl of rice left untouched. The vigil continues, but tonight, the desert is a little less empty. Seasons blur in the endless desert. Ryusei's cloak turns to rags, his hair whips long and silver, but the scythe never dulls. The mask occasionally glimmers with gathering power, as if feeding on the distant prayers of the villagers. Ryusei feels it warmth in the void.
They still pray to me. Not the Kagi, not the gods, just a ghost with a scythe. That's more than I deserve.
One night, the mask pulses urgently, a sign of danger. Ryusei rises instantly, his rest forgotten. A sandworm erupts near the village wall. Ryusei arrives in a flash of purple, scythe already arcing. He is faster than ever. The worm's soul is drawn into the mask before its body hits the sand. The gate guards cheer, but the Reaper is already fading into the night.
I don't need thanks. I just need them safe. That's the only pact left.
The moons rise and fall. Ryusei's vigil becomes a rhythm: hunt, rest, watch. The legend grows, but the man shrinks. Yet when he closes his eyes, he no longer sees the loops. He sees the faces of the saved, and that is a kind of peace. The SSS Reaper does not dream of ending. He simply continues, the sentinel etched into the bones of the desert. A decade of fragile peace shatters when the Serpent Clan survivors rally a mercenary army and march toward the weakened walls. The mask's eyes ignite before Ryusei even opens his own. The pact pulses with a hunger that has slept too long.
You haven't forgotten the taste of vengeance. Fine, let's remind them why the desert belongs to the dead.
He becomes a purple comet, crashing into the enemy vanguard before they can loose a single arrow. His scythe reaps in wide, silent arcs. Each mercenary's soul is drawn into the mask without a scream. The harvest is terrifyingly efficient. The Serpent Commander orders a retreat, but Ryusei is already before him. The scythe stops 1 inch from his throat.
Tell the clans the Reaper still watches. This village is not prey, it's a shrine. Leave this land and never return.
The army scatters like insects. By the time the village guards muster, only the dead remain and the faint silhouette of a scythe-wielding specter on the horizon. The mask glows with contentment, the chakra of the slain fueling another century of vigil. Ryusei's body aches with power that never fades, and so the SSS Reaper's legend grows not through songs but through the silence of enemies who dare not cross the desert ever again. Another generation passes. Children who once played in the rubble now have gray hair and tell the Reaper story to their grandchildren. Ryusei watches from the dunes unseen. The mask pulses with the souls of centuries, a quiet lullaby of the dead.
I used to count the loops. Now I count the stars. One by one, the deaths become just numbers, and the numbers become peace.
The mask hums a frequency that only he can hear. It is the sum of every prayer. Protect us, Reaper. He carries it in his bones.
I hear you. I will never stop hearing you. So long as one of you lives, I will remain.
The years carve no lines on his face, but they hollow out his memories. His own name becomes a distant echo. System message, identity fading. Reaper protocol permanent. You are the mask.
Maybe that was the final gift of the fox spirit, to lose the man so the legend could live.
He lifts the scythe one last time, not to fight, but to carve a final mark on the ancient rock above the village, a fox skull. And then he vanishes into the sandstorm, becoming one with the wind, a story that will outlast the stone itself. The sandstorm calms. On the ancient rock above the village, the carved fox skull glimmers under the moonlight, a permanent seal. The village gates have been rebuilt strong. A small shrine to the Reaper is nestled into the wall, surrounded by desert flowers. A young girl in a simple robe approaches the shrine. She places a fresh white flower among the offerings and kneels. She whispers, not to a god, but to a ghost she hopes can still hear. Thank you for watching the desert. High above, invisible to mortal eyes, the fox skull mask materializes among the stars, its sockets fixed on the village below. The mask's eyes pulse once, a silent acknowledgement. No more harvest is needed, only vigilance. A warm breeze sweeps through the village, rustling the shrine flowers. The girl smiles, feeling a presence like a comforting shadow. The mask begins to fade, dissolving into the night like a dream. But it is not gone. It is woven into the desert itself. The girl stands and takes one last look at the rock on the hill, the carved fox skull still glimmering before returning home. And the desert night returns to silence, watching over the village until the next dawn, a vigil that never truly ends. Dawn breaks over the village, and the first light catches the carved fox skull on the ancient rock, making it glow like a star. High above, the fox skull mask has become no more than a translucent wisp, woven into the fabric of the sky. Years slip by. The weathered shrine at the gate becomes a place of pilgrimage for those seeking protection from the desert. A young boy stands at the village edge, pointing toward the carved rock and asking his elder the story of the Reaper. The elder kneels, tracing a fox skull into the sand with a walking stick, telling a story that needs no words. The boy's eyes widen with wonder. He looks up at the rock, then at the sky, as if searching for a watching specter. Later that day, the boy approaches the shrine and gently places a new flower among the weathered offerings. In the heavens, the mask gives one final flicker, affirming that as long as faith remains, the Reaper's duty endures. The desert stands eternal. The carved rock, the distant village, and the silent mask together weave the legend into the wind. System final record. Reaper protocol eternal. The vigil continues. End of entry.